this upcoming week we got bangers. We'll talk about that Thursday. But let me talk about my Miami Hurricanes here. Guys, I know that you might be back, but we are letting it get to our head a little bit, especially in the quarterback position. I know this nonchalant talk about Cam.
Redhead.
I know there's all this talk about Jokic at the quarterback position, the Kamara type player. We need to just tone it down a little bit, so that when we go to California, I know it was a late start. I know we're not used to that. We're playing football at 1:45 in the morning. We're not used to that, but we need to just relax. We couldn't stop Cal. Every play they had is like 60-yard touchdowns. We've never seen what a play fake out of the backfield flat route looks like. Apparently, they invented that. So kudos to Cal. They make us go into their house and battle, which what a lot of people thought was probably going to just be a walk in the park game, and unfortunately it wasn't. But I just wanted to say that I think even though it was a win, we are undefeated. We're 5-0 now. We got to tone it down a little bit. The noise, Miami being back, like Cam Ward needs to really lock in. The last 2 weeks, he's had some stupid turnovers. Like I said, he thought he was Lamar Jackson on Saturday night. He thought that he could throw across his body like Lamar, and it was going to be completed. Unfortunately, it was intercepted. And our defense the last 2 weeks has looked very bad, very unprepared, very bad defensively. We need to button that up when we start playing better teams, even though we don't really have too much the rest of the way as far as competition. But we're still going to play good offenses. And when we get into the playoffs, we're going to really need to lock in defensively with some of the offenses and quarterbacks that we're going to see. We can't even stop Jared Goff 2.0 and Cal. I forgot Aaron Rodgers and Marshawn Lynch suited up for the game. So we really need to button that up. The last 2 weeks have been kind of disappointing for the Miami Hurricanes, in my opinion. I just wanted to touch on that. But let's continue to talk about the week 6 recap of this crazy college football Saturday. Holy upset city. 5 teams in the top 11 fall. So let's break it down.
Wild.
Starting off, we got our matchup of the week, which didn't actually end up being a good matchup at all. We should have went with maybe even Miami,
Vanderbilt, Alabama.
Anybody but this game, because the Missouri Tigers figured out what it's like to play a good football team. They get embarrassed by Texas A&M 41-10.
Get them at.
41-10. Are you kidding me? Get them at the top 25. Texas A&M put up 512 yards of offense against a good Missouri Tigers defense and go 7 for 12 on the money down on third down. You can't stop them on first down. You can't stop them on second down, and you really can't stop them on third down. That's not a recipe for success. This offense led by Connor Wigman came in. Like we talked about, it was either going to be a dual threat look with the backup, or Connor's going to come back and start throwing this thing down the field. And they come out, he throws for 276 yards, no touchdowns, but offensively they came out balanced. Le'Veon Moss with 138 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns on the ground for the Aggies. They come out, their offense dominates the Tigers. They just showed me, Jason, and everybody else in the country that Missouri are frauds. It was a big question mark going into this game. Biggest test of the season. You're on the road against, and don't get me wrong, I know the Aggies are good, but the 25th best team in the country, you come out like that? Ooh. But
yeah, I think the Aggies are a little underrated after losing to, I believe they lost to Notre Dame week 1.
Yes.
They were coming into their season like they had high. That's a good football team.
Yeah. No, they are. But a quick little stat, if you are a Texas A&M fan, things are on the rise for you guys, because you guys are now 3-0 in conference play, and you have the 3rd easiest remaining schedule the rest of the way in the SEC moving forward. So if you are the Texas A&M Aggies, you get to just lock in, play good football the rest of the way, and you're probably going to win out, in my opinion. They just need to, keep their head down, stay laser focused, and keep piling on from this win, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Be good.
We can continue to talk about the SEC because the Vanderbilt Commodores.
If you didn't see this is history in the making here, people.
Upset number 1 ranked Alabama. Vanderbilt had lost all 60 of their top 5 ranked matchups in the history of their program. That changed on Saturday. They beat number 1 ranked Alabama and proceed to throw the goalpost in the river on Broadway. It was banana land.
Dude.
Vanderbilt scored the first 13 points of the game, had a 16-point lead in the second quarter. Alabama just didn't show up to play. They
No.
looked bad. They had too many penalties in critical situations. Vanderbilt never trailed in this game, and Alabama's defense couldn't get them off the field. 0 sacks from an Alabama defense against Vanderbilt.
That's unbelievable.
Vandy held the ball for over 42 minutes, converted 12 of their 18 third downs. I mean, they did what they had to do to win that football game. Alabama didn't show up. Vanderbilt did everything they had to do to win that game, and they upset Alabama. Jalen Milroe, a Heisman candidate, can't get it done. Had an unlucky pick six early in the game. I believe it was his second pass. It got tipped. Vanderbilt takes that to the house, and then they never looked back after that.
Yeah, this was obviously the craziest, the talk of the weekend by far. Unfortunately for Alabama, like we did kind of touch on the coaching staff after last week's game against Georgia when they should have won big and they almost lose. We did hint on they should have been questioned and stuff. I wish I would have went with my gut on talking about, but I should have known when Kalen DeBoer came out for that interview after the game and was all smiles, all giddy, all happy after being up like 28-0 and almost losing at home. I should have known that this team was going to come out on with a lull eventually. Not to Vanderbilt. That just shows me even more that I was right with my gut feeling. Kalen DeBoer, I don't know what to think of him as Alabama's coach. Like, their defense, don't get me wrong, Jalen Milroe, they scored 38 points. Like, they should have won this game. You give up 40 points to a baseball school? No sacks? Are we kidding me? Yeah. What were they on third down? 12 of 18?
12 of 18, yeah.
Are you kidding me? DeBoer and this coaching staff, especially defensively, needs to figure out what is going on. That is unbelievable. And it's unfortunate because Vanderbilt's going to go in the next 2 weeks and probably lose and get bounced out of the top 25 for no reason. But if you're Alabama, like, you really got to start questioning the coaching staff here because obviously you're coming off of a decade of Nick Saban. That never would have happened to Nick Saban. I'm pretty sure I saw something that was like Alabama gave up more points in this game than Saban did his whole career at Alabama against Vanderbilt. Like, that's insane. Like, Kalen DeBoer and the coaching staff, they really need to lock in. Like, you got guys, I forget number 13's name for Alabama. He's literally throwing a temper tantrum, slamming the quarterback's head into the ground. It's just, they do not look buttoned up. He's literally, Kalen DeBoer is asking him to get off the field, and 13's like, nah, bro.
Nah.
Could you imagine a player saying no to getting off the field to Nick Saban?
You wouldn't be playing.
The keys to the car and the new house would have been on the desk, and he would have walked.
It would be like that video when the dude gets cut from the Jets and he can't get into the facility like the next day.
Like, could you imagine somebody saying no to Nick Saban? Oh my gosh, they need to figure a lot out in Alabama. I know that they're still a good team. They have a great quarterback. And I like DeBoer as a coach, but he needs to lock in. They need to really lock in. Like, that was bad. But sticking in the SEC, what is happening in the SEC? They come in this week, they look like the powerhouse, and now they look like the freaking dog ass. Tennessee, what the hell are we doing in this game against the Arkansas Razorbacks? Obviously, a great win for the Razorbacks. Don't get me wrong. At home, Nico. I don't even know how to say this guy's last name. I think it's.
Yeah, it's hard. I kind of know it, but I'm not going to try it.
It's like Ima Lavea, something like that. We're going to go with Nico, this guy.
L.
Nico L. What are we doing on the last play of this game, big guy? Like, what are we doing? Arkansas makes it a 5-point game. They go in, they take the lead. Mind you, before the touchdown to take the lead, this is a low-scoring game, by the way, especially for Tennessee's perspective. They're known for putting up points. But they take the lead. They go up 5. Prior to this play, though, they fumbled the ball on the goal line. Luckily, they recover to keep this game alive for them. But they do go in and score. Their running back has some big runs late in this game to keep them in it. But they go for 2. They go for 2 to make it a 7-point game. They don't get it. Tennessee's defense rises up here at the end a little bit. But Tennessee's offense gets the ball. Like I said, Tennessee's defense keeps them in the game. They stop them from getting the 2-point conversion. Tennessee has the ball with over a minute left with 2 timeouts. That's more than enough time to go down and score the game-winning touchdown here on the road. Again, they haven't played great, but they have an opportunity. They drive all the way down to get in scoring range. Mind you, Nico escaped on 3rd and 2. He escapes pressure from his left, rolling around, looking like Lamar, throws opposite side a 40-yard bomb off of his, rolling left, throwing with his right, one-on-one coverage. The receiver comes down with it. Huge play, huge momentum swing. They have all the momentum now. Stadium's quiet. Just to get the ball again in third down, they get the pass batted down. Nico missed, in my opinion. They had a deep in route coming in behind the over the middle, like shallow cross. He had the deep in cut route. I think he missed it. The safety might have got there to make it a bang bang play, but you got to confidently get that ball in there on third down. Anyway, he throws it over the middle. The ball gets batted down. So now we're in fourth down. Game on the line. Gotta have it. 6 seconds left. And he decides to run the ball out of bounds and end the game without throwing the ball. And I'm not sure what happened here. I did see on the top side of the screen there was a receiver open, it looked like. I don't know if it would have scored, but not sure. Obviously, the thought process here is like you got to at least throw the ball up for grabs or something. Like you can't. There's no time left. I don't know if he got confused with how much time was left in this game. He did scramble, gets pushed out of bounds, and the game is over. And Tennessee loses and falls to Arkansas on the road. They were number 4 going into this game. Like you got to have that play, Nico. I get it. It's a tough situation. Your heart's probably racing, but like at the very least, you got to at least throw the ball up and give somebody a chance to make a play. He did kind of miss a couple plays here at the end of the game that costed Tennessee losing, but overall, like I said, great win for Arizona, but this was a crazy game. And to come down to that last play like that is wild. Wild.
Yeah. Tennessee has a lot of their schedule isn't easy moving forward as well. So that's a big loss for them.
Neither is Alabama. I know we didn't really talk about that, but Alabama's got some tough games too coming up.
I think they play each other soon.
Yeah.
I guess I'll talk about USC if I have to. They are not a good football team. I watched this entire game against Minnesota, and I don't even know how to explain it. If you look at the box score, you're like, what happened to USC? But they did have 3 critical turnovers, which gave Minnesota the advantage. It's not an easy place to play. Minnesota gets a little rowdy in their house. I believe it was like 70. It was like a record high in temperature for a Minnesota game in October. But USC just gift wrapped this, put a bow on the game, said, here you go, Minnesota. Merry Christmas. USC should not be in the top 25. I don't believe they are. They go from 11th. They get bounced out of the top 25 where they belong. That is a bad football team. I don't want to talk about them ever again.
That's fair enough. I didn't watch that game, but Jay broke it down, and everything he said is right. Let's move on to the Washington-Michigan game. Washington comes out big in a revenge game after they lose in the national. They lost the national championship game to Michigan. So this is a bit of a revenge game here. The quarterback play for Michigan is a massive problem and needs to be fixed. But I fear that time is up, unfortunately, for Michigan. I don't know what they're going to do about that at all moving forward, but they lose now their second game. They get blown out at home by Texas, and then they lose to a Washington team who is, sure, they're okay, but you're Michigan. You're not supposed to be losing this game. But Michigan's defense, in my opinion, did enough in the 3 quarters that I watched of this game to win, or to at least be in it. Their offense, it really looked like I was watching the Steelers, to be honest. Their defense did enough in 3 quarters to keep Michigan in this game. But again, Michigan's quarterback play is maybe the worst in the country. But Washington eventually comes back, and they have 3 scoring drives in the fourth quarter, 2 field goals and a touchdown. You're not going to be able to hold teams to no points forever in the second half. So they pull away in the fourth quarter. Both Michigan quarterbacks, listen to this, combined for 113 yards passing.
Yeah.
Are we serious? 1 touchdown and 1 interception. They have a massive problem at quarterback. Like, it's been like this even since Harbaugh got there. Even the year they won the national championship. I know McCarthy did enough to win a lot of those games, but they've never had a guy. They've never had a great quarterback there under, the last, whenever Harbaugh got there in like 2016 or whatever it was. But now they don't even have a guy. They don't have anybody. Like, it's bad. They're playing football like it's 1926. This isn't 1926 anymore. I'm sorry. Not taking anything away from the Huskies. They did, they put up almost 500 yards of offense. They played a great game. They only had 2 penalties. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They didn't let Michigan come in and just sneak a win out. They played good, and they handled business. They had a great game plan. It felt like everything they were doing was working offensively, defensively, whether it was throwing the ball, running the ball. And the defense in the second half held the Wolverines to 7 points. So they came out of halftime. They locked down. And in my opinion, I think Michigan's season's over.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was never high on Michigan to start the season. I think like week 1, I said like they're ranked too high. They don't have a quarterback. And I mean, they had a good win against USC, but USC, I just talked about, they are a bad football team, so they don't have any good wins anymore.
Yeah.
Michigan, I mean, they don't have a guy, and they lost too many pieces last season. They are still the reigning champs, but they should just hold on to that as long as they can. This season is over for them.
Yeah.
Let's move on. And I'm embarrassed to say that it took us 5 weeks to mention this guy's name on this podcast. But Ashton Genty is making history running the football.
This man the Heisman.
I'm about to just blow your mind with these stats if you haven't heard them already. He has over 1,000 yards rushing in 5 weeks, 16 touchdowns. He's averaging over 10 yards per carry on the season. He's reached 1,000 yards rushing before he had 100 carries. Last week, he had 186 yards and 3 touchdowns on 13 carries. In the first half, he didn't even play in the second half because they were winning by 50. He has more rushing yards through 5 weeks than Barry Sanders had on Oklahoma State in his 1988 Heisman Trophy season. If Ashton Genty runs for 2,800 yards, I don't know how you give the Heisman to anyone else except him. I don't care who they're playing against. It doesn't matter. He's standing in the backfield like he's Michael Myers, just standing straight up behind the bushes, just ready to dominate your entire defense. I will be on Ashton Genty watch for the rest of the season. This guy's a dog. He runs on a blue field when he plays at home. It's fun to watch. Boise State in the top 25. Watch out.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on everything. Everybody knows about this guy now. Like you said, he's just standing there menacingly in the backfield. Yeah, I love Travis Hunter. Like, I love him being a two-way player. I love, Cam Ward and, Jalen Milroe, a lot of these quarterbacks. I'm sorry, but this is the Heisman winner. I'm not even sure if he even has, like, bad games the rest of the year. What he's doing is, like, unheard of. Yeah. Like, it's insane. So, like he said, it should not have taken us this long to talk about it, but it is Boise State. Yeah. So it's hard to – they are here. And they got Michael Myers in the backfield, and he's running a rat.